With a new defensive coordinator and eventually a new defensive backs coach coming into the picture for the 49ers, are we entering in a new era for Kyle Shanahan? Plus, Steph's observations from the Senior Bowl and something Jed York said at Radio Row that annoys the hell out of me. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. She is Steph Sanchez. I am pinch hitting for Jason Aponte. Steph, sorry to ruin your night.
Rob, what the hell? Like, I'm gone for 2 weeks, and I come back, and I have to do a show with you. Like, this is awful.
It's your punishment for leaving us for 2 weeks. That's what you get.
It is. Deservedly so, I guess. But how are you doing, Rob?
I'm good. Thank you. I know you were at the Senior Bowl. We're going to get your thoughts on that. We're going to talk about the coaching staff changes for the 49ers because I haven't heard your take on that yet. Also, some things are happening from Radio Row in San Francisco, so we'll discuss that as well. First off, I haven't even asked you yet. I haven't texted you. Raheem Morris, new defensive coordinator. You are feeling?
I feel good about it. I mean, 2 weeks ago, or whenever I did the show last with Jay, like we were talking about Gus Bradley and all the tea leaves were pointing towards Gus Bradley being the defensive coordinator, mostly because of what Tim K was saying, what the beat writers were saying. But I wasn't completely sold. Like I did think that they were going to kind of survey the field a little bit and see what other options were there. And the moment that Raheem Morris, became available as an option, I think the 49ers were going to hop on that. You also saw that, of course, Jim Schwartz was mentioned as an option too. And so I think it would have been like Jim Schwartz, Raheem Morris right after that, right? And it still feels like there's some limbo a bit with Jim Schwartz. So I think the 49ers made the right call and got this done. And I want to ask you about this, Rob, because I did see Emmanuel Acho say something about the hiring of Raheem Morris. And normally, actually, most of the time, I don't care about what Acho has to say about just about anything. But he did say something that I think is somewhat of a narrative with Kyle Shanahan, that he hires his homeboys. And, Raheem Morris, I keep wanting to say Raheem Moser, Morris and and Kyle Shanahan obviously know each other quite a bit. He knows McVay as well from his time with the Rams. So do you get the sense that this is a homeboy hire? And if so, does that even bother you? I got to say, for me personally, Kyle Shanahan has a lot of very smart and talented homeboys. And so I really don't mind. In fact, maybe I appreciate it even more because if Kyle Shanahan has the pool and these relationships in the league with some of the most highly regarded, coaches and assistant coaches out there, then I say that's a win for the 49ers. So want to get your thoughts on that.
Two things can be true. It's entirely possible that this is a homeboy hire. Kyle and Raheem go back all the way to the time with the Bucs in the early 2000s. Raheem is probably Kyle's closest friend in the coaching ranks. But also, Raheem Morris is a really, really good coach. So it can be both. Hell, Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay are nepotism hires. Like, they got their first gigs in the NFL because of nepotism, because of their name and who they knew. And guess what? They're really, really good coaches. Like, two things can be true at the same time. So I think there is an element of truth. I also think most coaches hire coaches that they already know. If you go around and look, most coaches are not like having no experience with a guy whatsoever and hiring them. Usually there is some prior relationship that they are sort of building off of. And I'm just grateful, like you said, that Kyle's been around long enough now going into year 10 that he has these relationships with people around the league, and the Niners get to benefit from that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's beneficial. And then, like I said, I think Morris is going to be good for the 49ers. This feels like one of the better hirings that they've had. I mean, definitely not in the realm of the Steve Wilks and the Sorensens, right? So I think he's going to be able to keep this defense at a higher level. I know people asked the question or have been discussing that, what does this change for the scheme? Kyle Posey of Niners Nation posted a really great breakdown of how it would impact the 49ers defense, went position by position. And I mean, you should check it out, but the long short of it is that it shouldn't impact as much as people think that it will. Maybe sometimes Nick Bosa is going to have to, rush out of a 2-point stance, maybe, right? But I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, a lot of these players are talented enough. Nick Bosa, I definitely consider that, he could probably work in a lot of different systems, right? So we'll see how it changes free agency, maybe how it changes the draft, if any way at all. But I'm excited about this hiring, Rob, and yeah, I'm excited to see what this defense looks like. A much healthier version of this defense in 2026.
Sorry, I wanted to show you a version of the article that you were talking about, the KP wrote, which is awesome, but SB Nation has 10,000 pop-up ads, so I don't want to get flagged for copyright.
They got to keep the lights on somehow.
I understand that. But no, I agree with you. I think it is going to bring some change to the scheme. That's good. Some change is needed. You need to change it and tweak it. And by the way, Raheem is smart enough and experienced enough with different schemes and fronts and things like that he's not going to try and jam a square peg in a round hole. He's going to put guys in a position to succeed. Does that mean that Nick Bosa every once in a while might drop into coverage? Yeah, maybe like once every couple games just to keep people honest so they don't say, oh, he's going to rush every time. Like, that's okay. That is okay. So there will be some change, and there's going to be more change because Daniel Bullocks, the secondary coach for the past 9 years, is gone. He's headed to Green Bay. And so the Niners need to find a replacement there. I think that is good too, Steph. Our secondary had 6 picks. Our team had 6 picks. The secondary had even fewer than that. Second worst in the league. I'm not saying it was all Daniel Bullock's fault, but like, what are we really worried about losing at this point? Again, new blood, new ideas. I feel like this is a new era for Shanahan. He could have hired Gus Bradley. He could have just said, Gus is the man. Seattle cover 3 forever. Let's go. Let's do it. He chose not to do that deliberately, and he chose not to do it, Steph, probably realizing that if he didn't, Gus Bradley was going to go with Robert Saleh. So he chose to go the route with the more complicated scheme, with the fresh new ideas type of thing. I think that is a very good sign from Kyle.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, people kept saying that one thing with Kyle is that he always went the safe route. And he always went with what was familiar. And that's how he ended up with some of the, I would say, bad hirings that he's had at DC in the past. Now, again, like it goes back to the fact that Morris being a friend of Kyle is a good thing because I think Kyle really needs to trust someone in order to put them in this position. So whether that be someone who's already in the building, like a Sorensen, but in this case, it being Morris, I think that makes Kyle comfortable with some changes because it's like, hey, I trust you. I know you know what you're running and you do a pretty damn good job at it. So I'm going to let you cook and you take it from here. Just another, defensive coordinator that's going to allow Kyle Shanahan to be more hands-off with the defense, which is what he wants to do. And he can focus on what he does best.
Which is offense, which, by the way, in case people forgot, is still really, really good. They were 7th in the NFL in yards this year, despite half the games being started by a backup quarterback that nobody wanted, by the way. In Mac Jones, they were still 7th in yards. So it hasn't been figured out. It's not getting stale or any of that. They're still really, really good on offense when Kyle can just worry about the offense. And hopefully he'll be able to do that more with Raheem Morris in the fold. I have no idea who they're going to get to be the secondary coach. Maybe Joe Woods, because he was the other guy they interviewed. But generally, we'll probably get an announcement when all the coaching changes, if there are going to be any others, have been made, and they'll just drop it on us one day out of the blue.
Well, also, you got to consider that Morris could bring someone he's worked with in the past as well. So I feel like that's probably the easy choice.
That's what they tried to do with Justin Hood, but the Falcons blocked the interview. Ben, don't forget, by the way, Raheem Morris was Kyle's original choice to be defensive coordinator in 2017, and Dan Quinn blocked the interview, so he couldn't take Raheem. Saleh was his second choice. So this is the guy Kyle has wanted all along, and he is what?
Kyle always gets his guy. Like, one way or another, he always gets his guy.
Right. If he was going to get Mac Jones on the team one way or another, damn it, and come hell or high.
You know what that means, Rob? Kirk Cousins signing this offseason.
Trade Max, sign Kirk.
Trading. Yeah.
I would.
Well,
Can you rule it out at this point?
you can't. That's what I'm
No.
saying. Like it's like written in the stars.
The only guy he didn't get that he wanted was Matt Stafford.
Boo.
I know. Sorry. Okay, so that is the Raheem Morris situation, the Daniel Bullock situation. Great. We've got other 49ers talking from Radio Row, from Media Week in San Francisco. I'm always bummed because I love going. I love being there. I miss it. I covered a lot of Super Bowls for NBC, and we got to go, obviously, in 2023. But when the Niners aren't in it, I'm not going to go because it costs too much money. But I do miss it there. There are some things being said because we've got people in front of microphones and things like that. Jed York, 49ers principal owner, was on with Kay Adams, and Kay Adams asked him about the injury thing. Now, first, he said he doesn't think the substation is a thing. I completely agree with him. We don't need to get into that. But then he said this about injuries, and it bugged the hell out of me, Steph.
It's unbelievably frustrating, and we need to be better at it.
But what is it?
If I knew, I would wave my magic wand and I would fix it. We need to fix it. We need to make sure that we are healthy. We need to make sure that we are best able to compete, because you said it, when we're healthy, we're in the Super Bowl.
Great, Jed. Name one thing you're doing to change it, to fix it, to make it better. One thing. Why aren't you, as the owner, forcing Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch to do something? Change the coaching staff, change the training staff, hire more training staff, hire different training staff. Name one thing that you are doing that's going to change anything except crossing your fingers and hoping.
But how do you know that he's not doing that? I mean, like, not to give Jed York the entire benefit of the doubt here, but I'm just saying, like, we don't know that he's doing that. If he even suggested that he was doing that, I'm not sure how that would be perceived by the fan. Like, it just wouldn't be a good look to be like, oh, he's throwing Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch under the bus. Like, I don't know. I think he probably, the fact that he doesn't believe in the substation theory tells me that, because to me, that's like the low-hanging fruit, and that's the easy, like, scapegoat excuse, right?
Yep.
Among like other things that we've heard in the past about this. The fact that he doesn't believe it tells me he knows there's some other reason, but he doesn't have to air that out on Kay Adams' show and to the rest of the world. He's frustrated about it. We're all frustrated about it. What I don't, I guess, appreciate is that this, I don't know what the reason is. Like, at some point we do have to figure that out, right? So again, I don't know what actions are being taken in the meantime to figure that out, but I guess I'm with you on that. I hope there is something being done and discussed internally that has nothing to do with the substation. Like, like, I hope that they're not focusing just on that. I mean, it sounds like Jed doesn't want to, but I mean, maybe John Lynch and players and coaches maybe a little deep into that theory. I know players and their agents are certainly, really feeling like that's something, which my thing is, Rob, I'm worried how that's going to impact free agency, because as silly as it is to the rest of us who don't believe in this theory, the guys who believe in it will make business decisions based on that substation. You have both Super Bowl teams not practicing at the 49ers facility, a perfectly fine facility, aside from, of course, the fact that it's right next to a substation.
But that was decided ahead of time. That has nothing to do with them choosing not to practice at Levi's. That was always going to be the case, even if the 49ers were in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So that is not connected.
Does the NFL dictate that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was because maybe they were worried that, like, it would be an advantage for the Niners if they were there, or I don't know. But for some reason, because I remember hearing that even before the Niners were, like, when they were just in the playoffs, it was like, hey, even if they make this run, they can't practice there, which is kind of weird, but whatever. Few things there. First of all, I don't expect Jed York to get up there and be like, this is all Dustin Perry's fault and he's fired. That's not what I'm asking. Here's what I'm saying. We have asked Kyle. People have asked Kyle about it. They've asked John Lynch about it. They've asked Jed York. There are no more powerful people in the 49ers organization than that. and they have given the same answer that they have given every single time they have been asked about the injuries. Yeah, we're we look into everything. We really got to figure it out. If I knew, I would wave my magic wand. So that means they're not doing anything because nothing has changed. Dustin Perry's been there the entire time with this training staff. He keeps getting promoted. He keeps moving up. So that's what bugs me about it. Why haven't they could have said, hey, look, we're going to look into changes with our training staff. We're going to look into changes with our program. They haven't named one specific thing that they are even thinking about trying. Why wouldn't you throw us that bone, right? Hey, people are on us about this. Let's throw them a bone. Yeah, we're going to change the training staff, or we're changing our sport medicine program, or whatever. But they don't even do that. They're going into this season with hope, Steph. Oh, Bosa will be back. Warner will be back. Kittle will be back. I hope. And I can't deal with that another year.
It's going to be the exact same thing if they don't make any changes, which
yes,
I think we know. But yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm hoping that they're doing something. I guess I get why he kept it vague, even if they were looking at it or evaluating the staff that they have there. But I hope they are evaluating the staff, that needs to happen.
As far as the free agent thing, I'm not as worried about that as you are or some other people, because they have signed free agents in the past and they've had guys
in the past, but
the substation's still there.
Yeah, I know, but this story and this conspiracy theory blew up in like the last 6 months. Like, so now it's in people's heads. And I think some of the 49ers players, I think it was Christian McCaffrey or something, like said something that suggested that it had been a topic of conversation even prior to it blowing up on Twitter or whatever. So maybe within the 49ers players, they've already talked about it, but like it hadn't really impacted the overall perception from the outside teams, outside players, which I think now, because it's become this full story, it's become a meme, basically, that, yeah, this is going to be something that they're going to be more aware of and think about when they're making some of these decisions.
I don't think it's going to affect player choices. What I will say is I could see agents saying, hey, you got to pay the substation tax. If you want, I can get my guy to come there, but look, he's real worried about this substation. He's very concerned about the injuries. If you don't give him an extra $2 million a year, I don't think we can do it. Agents will jump all over that for sure. But I get it. Players are literally, if you told players to, do 3 backflips before they ran on the field and that would keep them injury free, they'd all be trying to do it. And I get that. But I just, I think that it'll go away. People are asked about it. It'll go away. Nobody cared about the substation in 2023 when they were actually healthy. They got bigger problems than that. Yeah. They got more serious injury concerns. Poor Jacob Cowing. Every time he takes a step, he pulls a hamstring injury. That's what they got to get figured out. But it was that little comment by Jed York kind of bugged me. The other comment that I heard that also bugged me was Fred Warner with Kay Adams. And this is not a dig at Kay, because I love Kay. She and I are friends. We work together at NBC. We go way back. I once spent the night with Kay Adams in a hotel room, which is a 100% factual statement that you need more context on to fully understand. But it is a thing that
subtle
happened.
Flex, I guess. It is a thing that happened.
Well, it's like so when we worked at NBC, we got caught in a snowstorm. So there was like a group of 4 of us, and we couldn't go home because the roads were like unpassable. So we had to get a hotel room, but there was only one room in this, it wasn't even a hotel. It was like a bed and breakfast. And we weren't even supposed to have more than 2 people in the room, but we snuck 4 people up into the room. It was me, Kay Adams, Eric Casilius, who was a host at NBC at the time, and Matt Casey, who was a producer at NBC. And we all slept in this one room because we couldn't drive and there was nowhere else to stay. So yeah, that is a real thing that happened. But anyway, sorry, I derailed us. Fred Warner is on with her, and she asked Fred what everybody asks Fred. It's not just Kay. I've seen Fred answer this question multiple times in multiple interviews. What does Brock Purdy do that's elite? What does Brock Purdy do that's better than everybody else? And I feel like we just got to just accept that he's a good quarterback. Nobody asks Tampa Bay Buccaneers what Baker Mayfield does that's elite, that's better than other quarterbacks. Nobody asks Sam Darnold. What's Sam Darnold do? That's like, no one asked that questions for him. But for Brock, it's like people are like, he's not really good, right? So what does he do? How does he do? It's like, just accept it now. We've seen enough of a sample size. This guy's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately that question is going to continue to come up. I think if you're not one of the elite quarterbacks, it might be something that comes up. And especially when you were the last pick in the draft, it's most definitely going to come up. It's tired. I do agree with that. It's been something that they ask about Brock like all the time. I mean, we have eyes. We could see what he's good at. And, like you say, Fred Warner has answered this many times. All of the 49ers players that get interviews are asked this all the time, and they pretty much say more or less the same things. So I'm with you. I mean, he's good. I mean, I was just watching ESPN earlier, and it was like, oh, Sam Darnold become an elite quarterback if he wins the Super Bowl, right? Like, it's just, those are just the type of questions and conversations that people have when, someone hasn't been at the top or hasn't been an elite quarterback, right? You're just kind of waiting for that moment. But, for Brock, I think it'll come. I think the career arc for some of the quarterbacks who at the end of their careers have been elite haven't always started as such, or they haven't always been considered elite. Take Drew Brees, for example, who Brock Purdy gets compared to a lot. So I think in that sense, it's okay. I think it's up to Brock to silent that and change the narrative a bit. But unfortunately, it's just going to continue because people just know him as this guy that came out of nowhere and he's shouldn't be here kind of thing.
For people who are not watching the stream, Ian Harditz has the tweet: Brock Purdy among 236 quarterbacks to throw 1,000+ career passes in the Super Bowl era. Brock is first in yards per attempt, first in passer rating, first in passing success rate, third in completion percentage, and fourth in touchdown rate. But let's keep questioning whether or not he's good. And that's better. Don't even bring up Jimmy Garoppolo. It's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously, if he's first in those categories. Forget that.
That's been long. That's been, like the Jimmy G Brock Purdy comparison thing, in my opinion, hasn't been a thing for a long time. Like the 2023 season.
Yeah, put that to bed.
Forget about it.
I completely agree. This is the graphic from Kay Adams' own show that I stole. If you're watching on the stream, just Brock this year. Okay, quarterback win percentage I don't like, but 6th in passing yards per game, 2nd in passing touchdowns per game, 3rd in completion percentage, and 8th in passer rating. He's good, man. We got to stop asking the question. What does he do? He's good. Get over it. He was the last pick in the draft. Get over it. The man's really good. He makes a lot more money now. He's still really good. And let's not act like winning a Super Bowl will change that, by the way, because people still question and rip Jalen Hurts, and he has a Super Bowl, and he played great in the Super Bowl, in 2 Super Bowls, really. So even if Brock were to win a Super Bowl, people would still be asking questions.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong about that. I think it just comes with consistency. And like I said, if he ever makes it into the elite category, that's something you gain through consistency, in my opinion, through several years of high-level play. That's when the noise will finally stop and we'll stop getting questions like this. But until then, questions like this are going to follow his teammates, I guess, not even Brock. His teammates are going to keep getting questions like this. I implore them all to think of better questions to ask.
Yes, absolutely. This 49ers team is full of characters. And Brock is he's got some personality, but they got a lot of guys on this Niners team with personalities that they could be asking about. But the quarterback fascination continues. All right, I want to get your thoughts on what you saw at the Senior Bowl because you were there, and I'm obsessed now with this draft as we sort of ramp things up, and I'll do that in 1 second. But first, I want to give a shout out to Sleeper. Thank you, Sleeper, for being a sponsor on the show. We greatly appreciate it. There's still plenty of time to get your picks in for the big game. It's super easy. Just download the app, go to the pick section. All you got to do is choose higher or lower on different stats. There's a billion different stats. I'm sure they're going to have a billion different props. You can already see some of them up there right now. and it's Super Bowl and beyond, by the way. So you can go and check it out. If you just sign up, just don't even deposit money, just sign up, you'll get a free $20 entry. And if you play and have some fun and you enjoy it, and you want to deposit money, use our code GSP, and you'll have even more fun because you get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. You can pick everything. They've got everything up here. What brands will advertise during the big game? MVP, Coach of the Year winners, obviously. What was the other one that I saw? Hang on. What songs will be played at halftime? You can pick yes or no on a bunch of. They have everything on this friggin' app. You were all over it, Steph. You and Jay with the fantasy during the year. You were like, it is the best app to use. You got me into it, and now I'm on this thing all the time.
As you should be, and I will be on it as well, and definitely have my leagues once this season long gets started. But good to know that even during the playoffs, they could still entertain you and you could still make some money. But yeah, as far as the Senior Bowl goes, I mean, another good year. Had some great barbecue out there in Alabama, and then I stopped at some place in Mississippi as well to try some good barbecue. But you guys aren't here to hear my food reviews. But
I am. What was the best thing you ate?
What was the what?
What was the best thing you ate?
Okay, so there's this thing called rib candy, and it's at this place called Meat Boss that was featured on
Meat Boss.
Meat Boss, yeah, diners, drive-ins, or dives, and it's rib candy, so it's like brown sugar, melted salt, like it's amazing, and it's like marinated in it, and it just tastes so freaking good. That place is amazing. Second year that I've gone there, and then on my way driving back, because I fly into New Orleans, so on my way driving back, I stopped by God, what was that place called? The Shack or something. And it was literally like in a shack. I'm like, okay, like this is interesting. But it was really good barbecue. Tony Pauline told me to check that place out, and it did not disappoint. It was really good, and that one had in their like combo plate. The side that I got was sweet potato casserole, which I love sweet potato casserole, but this one was like the best I think I've ever had. It was amazing. I don't know. Let me see if I could get this picture up on the.
Ooh, I like that. Oh yeah.
Look at the sweet potato. Look at the sweet potato.
Wow, that is amazing.
Some brisket. Yeah, really good. But okay, let's get into the players now. I will say, like, I really thought the national team defense was just great. Like, I really liked their energy at practice throughout the week. I thought you see both teams practice and you kind of see what position groups are going to be the best ones for each team. I thought the national team, the trenches were definitely the most intriguing there. And I thought for the American team, I really liked the position groups of wide receiver, tight ends, and then there was one the Indiana running back I really liked. I'm spacing on his name right now. But as far as the trenches, I really liked TJ Parker. He was a force all week. Became a big fan of Nadami Tucker out of Western Michigan. I think for him, like, the pre-draft showcases will be important for him because, I've seen people say, like, oh, he only had like one good year. So you know how that goes. Like, you kind of have to prove yourself out through these processes and how you showcase yourself to these teams, basically be an athletic freak in this process. Danny Dennis Sutton out of Penn State shows a ton of speed off the edge. So that's intriguing to me. I think we're still looking for the speed rush guy that could complement a Nick Bosa in this defense. And I don't know, maybe that changes a little bit now with Raheem Morris, but I feel like you still need that other element, right? So I would still like to find that. Dennis Sutton definitely has a lot of speed. Derek Moore from Michigan, who was on the American team. He was making plays all week. Same thing with Zion Young. I believe he won the player of the game, right? Or MVP, Zion Young from Missouri if I'm not mistaken. I didn't catch the game, but I saw
Sure.
people talking about it. Okay. And then Gabe Jacobs, I think that's how you say his last name, from Illinois. He flashed a few times as well. As far as the interior guys, Cameron Ball, Caleb Banks from Florida, and then Grayson Halton flashed a few times for me as well. Lee Hunter was really given some of the offensive lineman fits, and I thought some of the offensive linemen he was going up against were really good. So if that tells you anything about Hunter, he was definitely giving them a handful. So as far as the offensive line, I know there's a few that had the timeline buzzing throughout the week. Jennings Dunker, absolute unit. And he has the aura that I want my big man to have. It was giving Quinn Miners, it was giving Cody Mock, like those guys are ballers, but they had this like aura, the swag to them that's just very, very unique. Yes, here we go. Look at this guy. I mean, get him on my team right now. But look, if you can't get Dunker, you can't go wrong with the Iowa guys. His teammate, Bo Stevens, also had a strong week. I'm a big fan of his. I would say Iowa's OLU, especially if you're running outside zone, this 49ers offense. So they could look at either one of those guys, right? A couple others that I liked. Jake Slaughter from Florida had a good week. And, with a name like that, you better, right? So I thought he lived up to his name. And his teammate, Austin Barber, flashed a few times as well. Some other guys, Keelan Rutledge, massive guy as well. Cage Casey was someone that, I didn't really know much of going into the week, but he flashed and put me on notice a few times. So definitely someone I'm going to keep an eye on throughout this process now. As far as other position groups, so like DBs, Malik Muhammad from Texas, Chandler Rivers out of Duke, really liked his game. Thaddeus Dixon. Thaddeus is a hell of a name. He's from North Carolina. So those are corners. A couple safeties that got my attention. I think the 49ers need to look at safeties this offseason. Bud Clark from TCU, and Deshaun Singleton. Linebackers, I don't know if the 49ers are going to be looking at linebackers, but I love watching linebackers and, just, I guess, evaluating them. Jacob Rodriguez was probably the best linebacker all week, hands down. Like his coverage for a linebacker is crazy. Like he's mirroring running backs and tight ends, super disruptive. I would say like a close second, and one guy I really liked throughout the week, Kyle Lewis from Pitt. Really good, high energy guy who's making plays all week. And then someone told me to check out Scooby Williams, and told me to pay attention to him. He didn't disappoint either. And then another guy that was often making plays, Xavier Sorey from Arkansas. As far as the wide receivers, there were a couple guys that were intriguing, but not as consistent as I would have liked. So let's see. I'm just trying to pull up some of my list here. So Jacoby Lane has really great size. Like he's 6'4". He's a little on the skinnier side, but he's so tall. It's it makes sense. He's just spread out a little bit differently. But the size of him, he's an ex-receiver. I think he's going to be talented. But, I would have liked to see a little more consistency from him. And he was on the American team. Also, who was it? There's the Notre Dame guy. Oh, Malachi Fields. So him as well. Like Malachi Fields, the last practice had a number of drops. And I'm just like, man, what is going on? Because also an intriguing athlete, also 6'4". He's 218 pounds. And so you like the size, ex-receiver again. But, maybe it's just the jitters of Senior Bowl week. But overall, I think those guys looked good and, definitely will be following along throughout the week as well. Josh Cameron from Baylor also, I think put me on notice. So those are some of the wide receivers that I'm looking at. In particular, I would say I'm looking at an X receiver for the 49ers. Like I think that's what they need mostly. So it's kind of what I had my eye on.
The encouraging thing for me, I feel like, is the areas that the 49ers need. I kept hearing, oh, this position group looks really good. Wide receiver, there's some guys. Offensive line, we see some standouts. Defensive line, like, feel like, okay, like maybe we could solve some, not all of our problems, because you only have so many draft picks and the Niners have a lot of holes they got to fill. But it sounds like this might not be the worst draft to fill some of their needs in, which thank God, because like I said, that list is getting longer.
Yeah, I think they shouldn't have a problem like drafting these positions of need. The question is, in what order are they going to prioritize them? I think that's the biggest question. For me, the biggest priority is between wide receiver, edge. Could go either way, like in the first round, right? And I guess you kind of usually just see how the chips fall ahead of them. But yeah, I think the biggest issue also is that they don't have that many picks. I think I continue to believe that Mac Jones trade will be on the table just so they could get more picks because they know they have a lot of needs. And look, like we saw how good the NFC West is this year. You need to make some substantial moves and get better this offseason if you want to compete. I know they had a good record. I know they made the playoffs. But if you really want to raise the ceiling of this team, they need to get more youth in. They need to draft more talented players. So more draft picks is how you do that generally. But yeah, I think there will be some good options. And yeah, I didn't mention this. I know you talked about him with Johnny. But Sam Roush from Stanford, I think John Lynch is going to be all over that, but not just because he's from Stanford. I mean, I think he's just a really talented, intriguing athlete.
I would be fascinated to learn, like you were talking about the needs. How do they rank their needs? Because I feel like a lot of fans would have offensive line higher up than they will. I think they probably see edge or at least defensive line as need number one. And then probably wide receiver number two. It's possible it's switched, but here's the thing. Like, yes, you would love to go get a stud first-round wide receiver. I get that. But also, I feel like it's easier to find wide receivers that will work for you in the later rounds, whereas an edge guy or a good offensive lineman, generally the good ones you got to get early. So if I had to, like, if it's a toss-up in the first round between an offensive lineman and a wide receiver, give me the offensive lineman this year, and I'll go find another wide receiver with one of my other picks.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of same goes for edge that, you usually have to get one of those guys early, especially if you want them to contribute like right away. My thing with wide receivers and Kyle Shanahan in particular is that he doesn't really like to start wide receivers as rookies. Debo was maybe the only one that got substantial playing time as a rookie, and that was because who else did they really have? So we'll see if they do invest in another wide receiver in the first round. I would hope it's someone who could make the field right away, and I do think that's a bit contingent on how quickly they pick up the playbook, which apparently that's proven to be quite the challenge for some of the wide receivers. I don't know why.
Yep, especially, and God help you, you better pick it all up by the time training camp ends, because if you don't, you have no shot. They don't even consider playing you, no matter what happens in the regular season, because Malik Turner is going to get brought in when he hasn't caught a pass in 5 years, and he's going to play ahead of a guy that was drafted by the 49ers last year. It'll be an eternal source of frustration for me, no doubt about it. But all right, that is in the books now. Thank you, Steph. I appreciate the rundown for all of that. We've got the Combine coming up. Are you going to Indy for the Combine?
I am not this year, but I know Jay's going, right?
I think he's going. I'm not sure if I'm going yet. Probably not. It's probably too late to apply for a credential this year. Here's the thing. It ain't cheap to go. That's the problem. So, but I'm considering it if I can possibly sneak in. I know a few people there.
Maybe you can room with Kay Adams again.
Again, why not? You know what? Look, it happened
Make
once.
some calls.
Who knows? I can call her right now, but I don't think she'd answer. But I'm sorry. I did tell that story with Kay because she came on the show and we talked about it here on the channel at one point. But yeah, that is a real thing. Then I will just forever get to just take out of my back pocket.
Yeah, rub it in all our faces.
It sounds way cooler than it was, but it still sounds cool, so I'm going to say it. But anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're not going anywhere this offseason. We got the combine coming up. Free agency's coming up in March. I think this is going to be a really fun offseason for the 49ers because I think they may go and get some toys. And I was saying to Johnny and some other people, like, there's nothing better than scouting wide receivers and running backs on YouTube. When you just watch wide receiver, running back, like, yes, please. It's fun to watch them. You get excited about people. Oh, I was geeking out watching Cam Scatteraboo last year. Like, oh my God, please get this guy on the 49ers now. Sadly, it didn't happen, and he suffered a horrible injury. But like, yeah, I get excited about people. So that's what we're going to ramp up and do all throughout the offseason. But again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the 49 Carats YouTube channel as well. Steph's doing yeoman's work there as always. I know you got the prospect interviews this time of year, Steph. You lining people up?
Yeah, gotta get some feelers out there, but hopefully could get some as well this year.
We had one on the channel too. We're hoping to increase that as well, just because it's nice to get to know some of these people, not only as players, but also as people, because there's a lot of cool dudes out there, and we like getting to know them. And then if they end up as 49ers, then it's like double bonus because you feel like you know people. But anyway, thanks everybody. Like this video. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk to you next week.
Peace.